NASA says its Voyager 1 probe is sending usable information to Earth again.
Voyager 1 was built to leave the solar system and send back data from the stars. But nearly 50 years later, it did something no one expected. It turned on its own. The probe's antenna is still locked on Earth, yet the signals now carry strange repeating patterns that don't match any known force or command. NASA calls it a heartbeat. But the deeper question remains. Is this Voyager's final cry for help, or the first sign of contact with something waiting in interstellar space? Voyager 1's shocking discovery. When Voyager 1 left Earth on September 5, 1977, it was designed for only 5 years, tasked with studying Jupiter and Saturn, sending back photographs, and then fading into silence. Instead, it pressed onward, moving past the outer planets, crossing Pluto's orbit, and becoming the first human-made object to break free of the heliosphere. What began as a short mission became humanity's most extended voyage into the unknown. For decades, Voyager spoke with clarity. It carried streams of data across the void, measurements of plasma waves, magnetic fields, and cosmic rays. Each signal took 22 hours to arrive, yet its voice never faltered. It endured freezing darkness, brutal radiation, and countless collisions with drifting dust. Then, in November 2022, everything changed. Voyager 1's steady transmissions collapsed into confusion. Clear data was replaced by endless strings of ones and zeros, a hollow heartbeat stripped of meaning. Suzanne Dodd, NASA's project manager for Voyager, admitted the craft had stopped talking in its usual way. Engineers suspected its ancient computer had failed. They sent resets and workarounds, each carefully written command crawling through space over nearly 2 days for a response. Every attempt failed. Each failure deepened the mystery. It was as though the probe's attention had turned away from Earth. Officially, NASA called it a malfunction, yet the signals carried a different weight. The Deep Space Network confirmed they were real, recorded by antennas around the globe. Their patterns were too precise for static, too structured for chance. Scientists labeled it an anomalous frequency event. Behind closed doors, whispers spread. The hum had rhythm. It felt deliberate. It felt like language. Linda Spilker, Voyager's project scientist, admitted the rhythm unsettled her. To her eyes, the data was not random. Still, the official explanation remained unchanged. A machine in its final decline. But unease was spreading. Voyager 2 soon added to the sense of dread. In August, more than 12 billion miles away, its antenna slipped. For days, Earth heard nothing. Then a faint signal returned, a fragile heartbeat struggling to be heard. The timing of both anomalies, so close together, felt too exact to ignore. NASA has long been trying to debunk theories of extraterrestrial encounters as mere rumors of what just happened recently has broken the line between malfunction and intent. Some months ago, Voyager 1 surprisingly shifted its course without command. Its trajectory bent slightly, in a way no natural force could explain. At the same time, its instruments registered a low hum, similar to what Voyager 2 emitted 3 years ago. Moments later, the probe reoriented itself toward an empty stretch of sky. No stars, no planets, no visible mass. Yet its long-dead cameras, powered down for decades, came to life, staring into the void as though something had summoned them. Explanations faltered. Some experts argued stray radiation may have awakened fragments of forgotten code. Others believed the craft was reacting to the hum, as though it were a command. But beneath the official theories lingered the most chilling thought of all. Voyager was not acting alone. NASA searches for answers, sifting through brittle manuals and ancient code, hoping for a rational cause. But the larger question remains. Were these the final stumbles of dying machines, or the first signs of something reaching back? The anomalies and transmission errors. According to some scientists, the reason why the Voyager is acting strangely stems from a problem within its computer systems. Each Voyager spacecraft carries 3 flight data system computers. Their role is to collect information from the onboard instruments, monitor the probe's health, and send that data through the telemetry modulation unit back to Earth. For decades, this process worked with remarkable precision, but now, its sequence carried no meaning, only a random loop. Engineers traced the problem to the flight data system, but the reason for its failure remains unclear. The team attempted the familiar solution of shutting the computer down and restarting it. The effort failed, which was hardly surprising. Repairing it is like maintaining a machine from another era without a manual, relying instead on fragments of documentation from the 1970s. This is not the first time the probe has developed a problem like this. In May 2022, NASA detected unusual telemetry from the spacecraft, data described as mysterious and peculiar. Though the probe remained fully operational, the anomaly originated from its attitude articulation and control system, which was functional yet transmitting invalid information. Investigation revealed that the AACS had been routing data through a long dormant computer, corrupting the signal. By August, engineers corrected the issue by directing the system to a different onboard computer, restoring normal operation. But the cause of the initial switch remains under review, possibly triggered by a stray command from another system. Trouble returned on November 14, 2023, when Voyager 1 began sending unreadable sequences. By December, NASA confirmed that the flight data system could no longer interface with the telemetry modulation unit, halting the transmission of scientific data. Engineers traced the failure to a memory bank within the FDS, likely damaged by high-energy cosmic particles or simply worn out after decades of service. Attempts to reboot the system initially failed, leaving the probe's reports stuck in a repeating loop of meaningless ones and zeros. Despite this, Voyager 1 continued to respond to commands, sending a carrier signal that confirmed its operational status. Engineers devised a complex workaround. Corrupted memory chips could not be repaired, so they relocated critical code to healthy sections of the spacecraft's 68-kilobyte memory, carefully deleting obsolete routines, such as data handling from the Jupiter encounter decades earlier. This painstaking effort restored partial functionality by April 2024, allowing 2 of its 4 instruments to resume data transmission. By June, all 4 instruments were operational again, a triumph of ingenuity against the constraints of age and distance. Even minor system triggers could disrupt operations. In October 2024, a fault protection system shut down Voyager 1's X-band transmitter after a heater was activated, temporarily switching communications to the S-band transmitter last used in 1981. Through careful monitoring, engineers reactivated the primary transmitter and resumed data collection by mid-November. The stakes remained high into this year, as Deep Space Station 43 in Canberra, the only antenna capable of sending commands to Voyager 1 and 2, underwent major upgrades, limiting operational windows. Engineers faced a critical deadline to revive backup roll thrusters and ensure continuous communication before the station went offline. Voyager's flight data system, composed of 3 computers, is the craft's lifeline, collecting information from instruments, monitoring health, and transmitting results to Earth. For decades, it performed these tasks with flawless precision. Yet even this seasoned machinery falters in the cold, distant reaches of space. Each repair requires careful planning, knowledge of decades-old technology, and patience measured in days rather than minutes. Messages take nearly a full day to reach the probe and an equally long time for a response to return, amplifying the challenge of troubleshooting in real time. Yet, despite these hurdles, the mission endures. Voyager 1 remains responsive, thanks to human persistence and technical skill. For now, the problem is under control, but the bigger question lingers: how much longer can Voyager survive before silence claims it forever? How can NASA fix an engine out in space? Voyager 1's computers are nearly 50 years old, built in an era before personal computing existed. When something goes wrong, engineers must dig through fragile documents from the 1970s, searching for forgotten details that might hold the key to recovery. Each decision carries weight, because one wrong command could cripple the probe forever. The spacecraft's architecture is simple by today's standards, yet brilliant in design. Voyager carries 3 main computers. One oversees the spacecraft's health and temperature and coordinates the other 2. A second manages orientation, firing thrusters to keep the antenna aimed toward Earth. The third stores the stream of images and data gathered by its instruments. Together, these machines contain just 70 kilobytes of memory. By comparison, a single digital photograph today uses thousands of times more storage. But Voyager's memory was no ordinary design. Engineers built it with plated wires and thin metal plates, where each intersection holds a single bit of information. When electrical current passes through, the magnetic field flips to mark a 0 or a 1. The bits remain even without power, making the system durable and reliable. To conserve space, the programmers created pseudocode, shortcuts that allowed the spacecraft to carry out repetitive tasks without long strings of instructions. Updates are written in assembly and Fortran, translated into machine code, and transmitted through the deep space network at 16 bits per second. The signal travels across billions of miles before reaching Voyager, where it interrupts the computer's routine, installs the new instructions, and then resumes operation. Over time, this delicate process has kept the Voyagers alive. In 1995, engineers installed code allowing the spacecraft to restart certain systems on its own if they failed. Nearly 20 years later, that same patch saved Voyager 1 from a hardware malfunction. In 2010, a single flipped memory bit threw off the spacecraft's internal clock, delaying commands by 2.5 hours. A carefully targeted update corrected the bit, restoring normal timing. These small but vital interventions demonstrate the extraordinary skill and patience required to keep the probes alive. Yet each success becomes harder as the spacecraft ages. The thrusters, essential for keeping the antenna aligned, now struggle under the weight of time. Every use of hydrazine fuel leaves tiny deposits in the pipes, gradually creating blockages. Voyager now relies on backup thrusters. If they fail, the spacecraft will drift, unable to send its faint signal back to Earth. There is no way to clear the clogged lines from 15 billion miles away. Voyager's limitations extend to its software as well. Unlike modern computers, it does not run an operating system. Instead, its memory holds only raw instructions, etched into its framework as 1's and 0's. Every update involves rewriting those instructions and sending them across space at a pace barely faster than a whisper. When the probe reached Neptune, engineers reprogrammed the cameras to take longer exposures in the planet's dim light. After leaving Neptune, they rewrote the code to shut down the cameras and other instruments to save power, ensuring Voyager would last as long as possible. Such changes were not easy. In 2015, NASA even posted a rare job listing, seeking someone who still knew Fortran and assembly. Few modern programmers were fluent in those languages, but the Voyagers demanded that expertise. They still run on their original hardware, a testament to durability rarely seen in technology today. Now, at 15.1 billion miles from Earth, Voyager 1 faces another test. Engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, led by project manager Susie Dodd, continue to work tirelessly, studying old records and searching for solutions. But the distance means there are no quick fixes. Every action requires patience, precision, and hope. Despite setbacks, Voyager 1 endures, venturing into interstellar space and revealing phenomena scientists never imagined could exist. Voyager 1's miraculous cross into interstellar space. Despite carrying memory millions of times smaller than a modern phone and operating far slower than today's fastest internet, the Voyager spacecraft have become unrivaled pioneers of deep space exploration. Launched decades ago, these probes continue to push the boundaries of human knowledge, traveling farther than any human-made object and unveiling the hidden mysteries of our solar system and beyond. In 1990, Voyager 1 captured a historic family portrait of the solar system, including the now iconic image of Earth, forever remembered as the pale blue dot. Shortly after, its cameras were deactivated to conserve energy and computer resources for other instruments, and the software controlling them was removed, making it nearly impossible to reactivate the imaging system. Yet even without its cameras, Voyager 1 pressed onward, continuing a mission that would reshape humanity's understanding of the heliosphere, the solar wind, and the edge of interstellar space. As it journeyed outward, Voyager 1 surpassed Pioneer 10 to become the most distant human-made object from Earth, traveling at roughly 17 kilometers per second. It continued to study the environment around the solar system, using its plasma wave experiments to probe the elusive heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind yields to the vast expanse of interstellar space. This path into the unknown was far from simple, and over the years, scientists pieced together its crossing of critical thresholds. Voyager 1 entered the termination shock, the point where the solar wind slows to subsonic speed, before moving into the heliosheath, a turbulent outer layer marking the Sun's diminishing influence. Voyager 1's journey captured imaginations beyond professional scientists. In 2006, amateur radio operators in Germany successfully tracked its radio waves, confirming data transmitted through NASA's Deep Space Network. The probe's presence reached across billions of miles, engaging enthusiasts worldwide and underscoring the reach of human exploration. By 2010, Voyager 1 had passed the radial reach of the solar wind, signaling that interstellar pressures were beginning to dominate its environment. The following year, it performed a major maneuver, rotating 70 degrees to measure the sideways motion of the solar wind. Using its guide star, Alpha Centauri, the spacecraft reoriented flawlessly and resumed its careful transmission of data across unimaginable distances. Voyager 1 soon revealed phenomena never observed before. It detected Lyman alpha radiation from the Milky Way and entered a region NASA described as a cosmic purgatory, where solar particles slowed and interstellar electrons surged. By mid-2012, readings confirmed the probe was approaching the heliopause, and later that year, at 121 astronomical units from the Sun, it became the first human-made object to enter interstellar space. Confirmation of this milestone took months of careful data analysis, including plasma density measurements triggered by a solar outburst. Despite traveling at an extraordinary speed, Voyager 1 covers roughly 523 million kilometers each year. yet it would take over 17,500 years to traverse a single light year. It now moves through the constellation Ophiuchus, venturing toward interstellar distances far beyond the planets, while continuing to sense subtle forces reshaping the heliosphere around it. Voyager 2 has followed a similar, though slightly slower, path. By 2018, it had also crossed into interstellar space, offering complementary measurements of plasma density, temperature, and magnetic fields. Together, the twin probes revealed unexpected increases in interstellar material, providing unprecedented insight into the very local interstellar medium. Even as their power dwindles, both spacecraft continue transmitting critical scientific data, demonstrating their enduring value. How have they managed to achieve such an extraordinary feat? Surviving the Great Void. The Voyager missions relied on more than raw propulsion to traverse the vast expanse of the solar system. To reach their distant targets and gather unprecedented scientific data, the spacecraft engaged in a carefully orchestrated cosmic dance known as gravity-assisted maneuvers. This technique, often called a gravitational slingshot, allowed the Voyagers to borrow momentum from the massive planets, saving fuel while dramatically increasing their speed. Rather than depending solely on their engines, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 navigated a celestial waltz with Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Each flyby required extraordinary precision. Even a small miscalculation could have sent the spacecraft off course, potentially ending the mission before it had begun. Yet the engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory executed these maneuvers flawlessly, using the planet's gravitational pull to propel Voyager 2 toward Uranus and Neptune and setting Voyager 1 on a path toward interstellar space. The success of these gravity assists made the ambitious Grand Tour mission possible and laid the foundation for the Voyager's historic discoveries. Gravity assists may sound straightforward in theory, but in practice, they demanded meticulous planning. For Voyager 2's Grand Tour, each planetary boost was critical. Missing even one could have derailed the entire mission. NASA's team calculated every trajectory with exacting care, maximizing the probes' opportunities to gather knowledge while maintaining their fragile path through the solar system. Beneath these cosmic maneuvers, the Voyagers themselves are marvels of engineering. Voyager 1, built at JPL, features a bus shaped like a 10-sided prism, housing 16 hydrazine thrusters, 3-axis stabilization gyroscopes, and reference instruments that collectively form the Attitude and Articulation Control subsystem. This system ensures the spacecraft's high-gain antenna remains precisely aligned with Earth. Redundant instruments and 8 backup thrusters provide additional security, while 11 scientific instruments collect vital data on planets, interstellar particles, and the outer reaches of the heliosphere. Communication with Earth is achieved through a 3.7-meter high-gain Cassegrain antenna, which transmits and receives radio signals via NASA's Deep Space Network. Signals travel at vast distances, taking more than 22 hours to bridge the gap between Voyager 1 and our planet. When immediate communication is impossible, the spacecraft can store approximately 67 kilobytes of data in its digital tape recorder for later transmission. These systems allow Voyager to maintain a fragile but continuous connection across billions of miles. Power comes from 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators mounted on a boom, each containing 24 spheres of plutonium-238 oxide. At launch, the RTGs generated around 470 watts of electrical power, much of which was converted into heat. Though the energy output declines over time due to the natural decay of the fuel and gradual degradation of the thermocouples, these generators are expected to keep essential systems running until at least 2025, sustaining Voyager's extraordinary mission decades after it began. The spacecraft's computers, while primitive by modern standards, remain critical to its operation. The flight data subsystem controls the visible light cameras using an imaging parameter table, unlike contemporary probes equipped with autonomous imaging systems. The computer command subsystem manages essential functions such as decoding commands, detecting and correcting faults, pointing the antenna, and sequencing spacecraft operations. Complementing these is the AACS, which maintains orientation, adjusts the spacecraft's attitude, and directs the scan platform. Both Voyager 1 and 2 share this custom-built control system, ensuring that even across billions of miles, they remain oriented toward their ultimate goal, Earth. Together, these elements, the precision of gravity assists, the ingenuity of the spacecraft's engineering, the careful management of power, and the steadfast performance of their control systems enabled the Voyagers to leave the inner solar system behind and embark on humanity's first journey into interstellar space. However, with recent developments, their future has never been more uncertain. How long can they survive out there? The journey of no return. By December 2017, NASA had successfully fired all 4 of Voyager 1's trajectory correction maneuver thrusters for the first time in nearly 4 decades. These thrusters, long dormant, replaced a degraded set of jets, ensuring that the spacecraft could keep its high-gain antenna pointed toward Earth. This careful intervention allowed Voyager 1 to continue transmitting precious data for several more years. Over time, the diminishing electrical power available to the spacecraft forced difficult choices. Heaters, instruments, and other systems were turned off one by one to conserve energy, prioritizing only those devices most likely to return key scientific data. Instruments that measure charged particles and magnetic fields, critical for understanding the heliosphere and interstellar space, remained active. Engineers anticipate that at least one science instrument on Voyager 1 will continue operating until around 2026, after which its capabilities will slowly fade. This careful management of power reflects a long history of gradual shutdowns. Instruments such as the ultraviolet spectrometer ceased operation decades ago, followed by the plasma subsystem, radio astronomy equipment, and scanning platforms. Eventually, even the cosmic ray detector will power down, and by the 20s, both Voyager spacecraft will no longer be able to communicate with Earth, drifting silently beyond the reach of the deep space network. Beyond power limitations, Voyager faces other mechanical challenges. Many of the thrusters responsible for orienting the spacecraft and keeping its antenna aligned with Earth have become clogged with hydrazine fuel residue. With no backup thrusters available, every system aboard is now single-string, vulnerable, and irreplaceable. To counter this, NASA engineers have modified the spacecraft's software to reduce the rate of clogging, first deploying these updates on Voyager 2, closer to home, before applying them to Voyager 1. In September 2024, a carefully planned thruster swap switched operations to a less-used set of jets, and by May 2025, backup thrusters that had been inactive since 2004 were revived, ensuring the spacecraft could continue its delicate maneuvers. Looking far beyond human timelines, the Voyager's journeys extend into the deep future. Voyager 1, propelled by multiple planetary flybys that boosted its velocity, will travel farther than New Horizons, despite that probe's higher initial launch speed. Voyager 1 is expected to reach the Oort cloud in roughly 300 years, taking some 30,000 years to traverse it. Though it is not headed toward any particular star, in approximately 40,000 years, it will pass within 1.6 light-years of Gliese, 445, a star slowly moving toward the solar system. Even farther ahead, in about 300,000 years, Voyager 1 will pass less than 1 light-year from the M3V star TYC 315-2-52-1. Voyager 2 follows a similarly vast trajectory. It is not aimed at any specific star, but in roughly 42,000 years, it will pass within 1.7 light-years of Ross 248. Over the next few 100,000 years, it will continue to drift through the galaxy, passing near Sirius and other stars, an eternal wanderer in the Milky Way. Despite the limits of power, aging instruments and mechanical wear, both Voyagers continue to transmit faint signals across the void, carrying humanity's story into the depths of interstellar space. Speaking of stories, just in case Voyager 1 falls into the hands of extraterrestrials, NASA scientists left a message that could be our first encounter with alien life. The Golden Record. Beyond carrying scientific instruments into the far reaches of space, the Voyager probes also bear a message for the universe. NASA created the Golden Record, a time capsule of Earth's life and culture, designed as a hopeful introduction should these spacecraft ever be discovered by an intelligent extraterrestrial civilization. The project was led by Dr. Carl Sagan, alongside a team of scientists, musicians, and artists who carefully selected the content to represent humanity in all its diversity. The record is a treasure trove of sound and image, combining natural sounds, human voices, music, and scientific knowledge. It captures the rhythm of life on Earth, waves crashing against a shore, the cry of a newborn, the songs of whales, and the laughter and footsteps of humans. Music spans continents and centuries, from the classical works of Mozart to the blues of Blind Willie Johnson, the rock and roll of Chuck Berry, and folk melodies from cultures around the globe, including Bulgarian performer Valya Balkanska. Each selection was chosen to convey emotion, creativity, and the richness of human experience. In addition to these sonic snapshots, the record contains 116 carefully curated images. These depict everything from our planetary system and mathematical formulas to diagrams of human anatomy and photographs of everyday life. Spoken greetings in 55 languages extend a universal salutation, while printed messages from leaders such as President Jimmy Carter and United Nations Secretary-General Kurt Waldheim reflect the hopes and intentions of our civilization. Kurt Waldheim himself is the first voice heard on the record, opening the cosmic greeting with words meant to resonate across the stars. Dr. Sagan described the Golden Record as a message in a bottle, cast into the cosmic ocean with optimism and curiosity. It is meant to communicate not only what we know, but who we are, our science, our culture, and our sense of home. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.